Welcome to how to use LinkedIn to find potential board members. I'm assuming you're here because you want to grow your board, and that might be for various reasons. Today, we're going to dive right into the nuts and bolts of how to do it. So, and I will take your questions at the end, but the questions will not be in the recording. So if you're watching this recorded, wondering what happened to them, you have to join us live to get the questions. So first thing, you need to have a LinkedIn account. And as nonprofits, typically you do not need a paid LinkedIn account. So just a free LinkedIn account will do. And this will be for you or the person using it. Now, LinkedIn is a little sensitive about allowing other people to use your LinkedIn account. I still do it, but I am careful not to be on my LinkedIn account when the other person who helps me with my LinkedIn account is on it. So there's two main features I want to show you here, is how to look for someone on LinkedIn who's actually already said that they want to volunteer to be on a board. And then also how to use kind of relevant search terms to find good potential fits. So the first thing we're going to do is just how to look for someone who wants to be on your or on a board, right? So when you log in, you should see this search bar up here. And in order to get these features that are shown up, you need to just click in that box right up here where it says search, and then click on people. Otherwise, you have to put in a search term and then later delete it. So once you have this box pulled up, you want to go into the advanced settings. And over here, just once you hit people, it should take you over into the advanced settings. There's one more step. I should warn you, I meant to add this at the beginning. LinkedIn was bought by Microsoft a couple years ago, and the downside of using LinkedIn is it can get really slow all of a sudden. Sometimes I have trouble logging in. And so normally I would be showing you this live on LinkedIn, but I couldn't count on LinkedIn to load quickly as I need it to on a Zoom. So I've gone for screenshots. So once you hit that people button, you'll get a page that pulls up with your connections and other people down below. And at that point, you're really just trying to get to this button that says all filters. So you want to go ahead and click on this all filters button. And it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. And you're going to have the recording to this. So if I'm going fast, you can use this to follow along step by step. So I've put these checkboxes in, but I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what you're going to use them for in this regard. So the key here is down at the bottom, you will see, if I can get my exit button to clear out of the way so that you can actually read that bottom piece. There is a checkbox right down here. Show yourself. That says, there we go, joining a nonprofit board. That means this person, when they set up their account, said that they're looking to join a nonprofit board. So it's super, super helpful of LinkedIn to encourage people to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested in joining a board. Now, from there, you probably want to add your general area. Unless you're a national nonprofit, there's no reason why you shouldn't look for all the United States. And then you're going to be looking at your first, second, and third degree connections. So a first connection is somebody who you have clicked to connect with them on LinkedIn and they accepted the connection request, or vice versa. They requested to connect with you and you accepted. A second degree is a connection of one of your connections, and third degree plus is 3 degrees out. So typically we want to look either at just your first degree connections or first and second degree connections. This will all depend on how many connections you have. And so I'm going to show you if the search results are too big and overwhelming, you're just going to come back here and add some more filters. So for now, I've just, in my live account, I have looked at my first and second degree connections in the greater New York City area who have already said that they are interested in joining a nonprofit board. And for me, I get 159 results. So that's actually pretty good. You can see my first degree connections there, and then you can go ahead and message them. And I have a sample message that you can use and some guidance on that we're going to go over at the end. So here you can just scroll through your results and take a look and see if those people would be a good fit. Now, you can certainly refine your search further. If you're looking for a specific profession, you can add that in, or maybe there's a search term you want to add to try to find someone who's a good fit. And we'll talk about adding those features in just a second. So 159 results is a really great number. If this was, 2,000 results, you probably want to refine your results further, so you're spending your time on the best fit people. So how do we do kind of a keyword-based search? We go to the same search bar and we put a keyword in. Now I use the quotation marks, which is going to give me results for the entire phrase first. And then after that, it will show the results for individual words or smaller parts of that phrase. Now, here's a big tip. This isn't just a random example. Retired executive directors, to me, are one of the best types of people to get on your board, because they're committed, they know what it takes to run a nonprofit, but they're also not going to be looking to kind of get all involved in the operations typically, because otherwise they wouldn't have retired for the most part. So I really encourage you. So you could look just for executive directors, you could look for lawyers, you could look for social workers, if there's a specific skill set you're looking for. Although in general, I would encourage you to find the best fit thinkers. Having a professional background, unless it's professionally in running nonprofits, only goes so far. The most important quality, in my opinion, of a board member is someone who will think critically and ask meaningful questions and show up and be engaged in that way. So you can put just the title of the job, but you can also put the word retired. A lot of people who are retired are on LinkedIn, and those are great candidates for board members because they have the availability and extra resources and usually large networks of people. But the problem with just putting in a search result here, and you can see I have no filters on, is I have 990,000 results. So what do we do about that? We go back to the all filters button here. You always click on this all filters button to get into these filters. And what I like to do is, instead of just using the main keyword search, I come down to where it says title and I put that keyword in the title box. And that's really going to narrow my search results. I'll note here, just as we're looking at this screen again, you could look for people who went to the same university you did. Let's say you want to be more linguistically diverse. You could certainly pick specific languages and go that direction. So when I just looked at my own connections, who are my first and second degree connections in the New York City area, who have retired executive director in their post, I actually found 2 candidates. So go ahead, if you live near me, you can nab these people up if you want. So those are the 2 main strategies on LinkedIn for finding people. What do you do once you find them? And I've got a very simple approach for you. So the first is just click, if you're not already a first degree connection, click that little connect button that's next to their profile. I think I have an example on one of these. Message, that all means they're my first degree connections here. My secondary connection here, I can just click this connect button. Now, when you click that button, there's going to be a little box that pops up, and it's going to ask you if you want to add a message to your connection request. And while you can go ahead and add a message, and LinkedIn will tell you that people are more likely to respond when you have a message, that used to be true, but in fact, so many people have gotten spammed with connection requests with messages that's no longer true. So just save your time and just click connect. and then wait for them to accept your connection before you send them a message. So once they do accept your connection request, or if you're already a connection with them, just send them a message on LinkedIn Messenger. Now, it is possible to grab their email address from their contact information on their profile, but you found them on LinkedIn, so start with LinkedIn. If they don't respond to you, then you could grab their email address and try reaching out to them that way. But we kind of want to stay within the context that you've reached out to that person. And remember, while LinkedIn is typically a business space, LinkedIn's chat tool, messenger tool, is still a more informal setting than an email. So you're going to want to send just a simple custom message. Do not send like a long 3-paragraph thing about your organization's mission. We want to start by focusing on them. So here's a sample message. You're welcome to use this and modify it for your own needs. Hi, so-and-so. It looks like you've had a great career in whatever it is, or just say something that shows that you're not a robot, that you've looked at their profile, that you care. And I was wondering if you'd ever be interested in serving on a nonprofit board. And then depending on what they reply, you're going to have to take the conversation from there. But oftentimes they would say, yes, I'd consider it. And then you can say, we're looking to expand our board, or we're looking for people who have X, Y, Z. And I would suggest that your next step is to ask if you could get on a phone call with them, just chat for a few minutes, or if they're local. You might want to meet up, but I suggest a phone call is a great place to start, so you're not really wasting anybody's time. And if you have a good connection after that, then you could meet up with them in person, or follow whatever your kind of outreach or, you know, talking to potential new board members procedure is on your board. So this is all great, but I've given you this little checklist to make sure you are ready to be growing your board and reaching out to these people. Because as some of you have experienced, I know at least one of you on this call has had this experience, you've reached out to new board members, and those people who are experienced board members basically looked at your organization and said, no, you're not ready for a good board member like me. Call me back when you've gotten your things organized. So here are a few keys, because I know some of you might be here because your boards are thriving and you just want to grow to the next level. That's great. But many of you might be watching this video either now or in the recording because your boards are in some state of dysfunction or disarray, and that is so common for many reasons that I won't get into right now. So what do you need to be ready to grow your board? Here's 4 basic things. You need at least a few board members who are highly engaged. You might have a bunch who are disengaged, and that's why you're growing, and that's fine. But if you don't have any engaged board members, then you have to take some steps to get at least a few people engaged before bringing on new people is going to be successful. Your bylaws need to be clear, meaningful, and followed. If your bylaws are all messed up, fix that first. Your officer roles need to be clear, just like your bylaws. Now, your officer roles don't need to be followed. It could be that you don't have the right kind of leadership on your board, but if the role is not clear, you're going to have trouble finding somebody to fill that role. And same with your committee structure. Your committee structure needs to have a clear structure, and the purpose for each committee needs to be really clear. You don't have to have your committees full. They don't have to be active, or they could be misfunctioning, but as long as their structure is clear and their purpose is clear, you could be filling those with new board members who are ready to take on the responsibilities of that, being on that committee and that committee's responsibilities. But if you don't know what those things are, you need to take care of that before growing your board. So if you don't have those things in place and you're going, oh my God, I thought I was going to grow my board on LinkedIn, but I realized I'm not ready, I'd be happy to offer you a free consultation. We can get on the phone for about 45 minutes and you can tell me what's going on, and I can help identify 2 to 3 next steps for you to take. Just go to pivotground.com/apply. I'll ask you to fill out a little form, which helps give me a head start before we get on the call so we can really make the most of our time together. And then you'll be able to schedule your time with me. So thank you very much. And I would love to hear in the comments and questions, once you have tried this, if and when you get your first potential new board member.